are trying to let go of the likes and dislikes and I don't know, like to let it go and to accept reality as it is. And outside, in the daily life, most of the questions, like for example, if I'm going out from the retreat, my family will ask me, how was the retreat? If it was good, it was bad. If someone cook something to eat, it is tasty. Like all the times, the questions are about opinions and about likes or dislikes. So how it's possible to manage it in the daily life? I mean,
don't attach to the words. Understand their mind, and if it's not a bad mind, then make them comfortable. Oh, how was the retreat? Oh, yeah, it was wonderful. Yeah, it's hard sometimes, but it's good. Then they think, oh, if you go and tell them every detail of every problem you had, and you say you want to go again, they're going to think you're an idiot. And then, or, Marcel's cooking. Oh, that was good. Why not? Buddha said there's 4 ways to help others. First is give them things they need or want. Okay? So, for example, one of Seung Sahn Sunim's students really didn't like that this man practiced in a Zen Buddhist center. And he talked to Sahn Sunim. I'll just tell a part of this story. It's a really cool story, but it's very long. It's a little long. So anyway, Sahn Sunim said, what do your parents like? And he said, well, my father likes cigars and whiskey, and my mother loves flowers. So then Sahn Sunim told him, whenever you visit your parents, bring some cigars or some nice whiskey for your father and some flowers for your mother. How to connect, how to make a good relationship, okay? Oh, also a brief thing is, the Zen student would always talk to his father like, oh, I studied Marxism so much better than capitalism. Then they'd have an argument. Then later he did LSD. His early 70s, and he told his father, you stress about everything, but, if you do LSD, you'll relax and you'll realize the universe is all one. And, then they'd have a big fight about that. And then he started telling his father, oh, Zen's the way, and they'd argue about that. And he said, also, my father always says things like, President Kennedy was no good. President Nixon is no good. And he'd always complain about everybody, and then we'd get into fights. So Sahn Sunim told him, first he said, bring them a present every time. Then never talk to them about Zen. Okay? Zen means correct relationship. So just be a son. Then when he complains about President Kennedy's no good, President Nixon's no good, you say to him, before I didn't understand, but now I know you're right. If you were President, Dad, our country would be much better. So you adjust to the situation. If they're your student and they're really off, then you can hit it strongly, But you have to adjust to the situation. Once when I was around 20-something, I was flying on an airplane with my brother who was, 17 or something. And I hadn't seen him in a while. And I asked him, what are you doing? And he starts telling me, and then he tells me about something that hurt him, and then he tells me about something else that hurt him, and then he tells me about something that hurt him in primary school. And it went on and on and on for like an hour. And finally I said, Peter, will you shut up? And he was like, thank you. He got stuck. I tried to be very patient and tolerant, but funny. I couldn't stand it, and but the timing was beneficial. It's like that. Yeah. You go out to a restaurant, what would you like? Pick something you like. If you're vegetarian, pick something vegetarian. My mother was always really upset that I was vegetarian. I became vegetarian before I practiced Buddhism when I was still a layperson. Really upset. Then one day I saw that one of Seung Sunim's students, one of his first students who's still in the school and is a Zen master now, was complaining to Seung Sunim that whenever she visited her parents, which was much more often than I did, they drink alcohol. And they're kind of drink a lot. And they really didn't like her opinion about it. So Seung Sunim said, when you go there for like Christmas or some holiday, have a little glass of wine with them. Then they like you. Then someday you can help them. Yeah. So she did. And then I thought, okay, I'm vegetarian, but I don't even visit home so much. And my mother's always, I don't know what to make. And, so I went home and I was there for, I don't know, a week. And she said, I don't know what to make for you. I said, I'll eat anything you make. So right away, she made this thing that I used to like, brisket, It's a piece of beef that the Jews use a lot. So anyway, and I ate it. I was surprised I didn't feel sick because I hadn't eaten any meat in 2 or 3 years, but that was my body. Maybe because I just did it for her. I have no idea. But she was very happy. And for a couple days, she made meat. And then she found some vegetarian restaurant menu. And she made vegetarian. And my father's like, what's this? And she said, it's good for you. So he ate it, And then what happened is whenever I visit, at least half the time she'd make vegetarian meals for my father too. And when we go to a restaurant, I remember she'd look at the menu and she'd look at it and said, there's things here you can have. So, sometimes don't move, but sometimes you go a little their way, they go a little your way. And our point isn't to be attached to our idea. So don't worry. Yeah, sometimes you're, I like that. We asked Seung Sahn Sunim once, you always say put down your likes and dislikes, but you like kimchi, don't you? I mean, this was in America. And he said, I'm Korean, of course I like kimchi. But if I don't have it, that's the only difference. He ate American food. And we said, how do you do that? He said, after eating only pine needles for 2 years, problem. Okay? So, our practice can help us keep a little bit tight line, but too tight's also no good. And not just for my own benefit. What is beneficial, for the situation? So in your family. So the first thing is give people things they want or like. The second way Buddha said to help others, give them encouraging speech, good speech. Then they like you. I always use the example, maybe a 3 or 4 year old kid makes a drawing and it's just a bunch of lines. And then you say, what's that? And they go, it's an elephant. What are you going to say? That's not an elephant. It doesn't look like an elephant. Then they're all bummed out. You say, wow, that's great. That's great. Make another one. And then they make another one. And then it's like, well, where's the head? Where's the tail? You stupid. That's the tail. That's the head. Oh, wow. And they get this try-mind. And that's how people learn. If we don't have try-mind, we won't learn anything. So, second way is encouraging speech. So when you're with your family, too, don't hold on to your own things. That's not being attached. You can do it if it's good for everybody. You cannot do it if it's either not good for everybody or, you're on your own. Yeah, that's the real point. Third way Buddha said you can help others is teaching the truth. If you do good things, then one day you'll get good result, happiness. If you do bad things, then someday you'll get a bad result. That kind of thing, cause and effect. Then Buddha said, if they don't believe, if you can't help them that way, then he called it together action. So Seung Sahn Sunim used to say, if they like chanting, then together chanting. If they like sitting, together sitting. If they like dancing, then dancing together. If they like stealing things and you want to help your friend, then together steal. Steal, 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 then they like you. We're buddies. Then one day, maybe you both get caught, put into jail. Then your friend's suffering. But you're not suffering because you only want to help him. You're not attached to your outside situation. Then he'll see that and listen to you. But if you go to jail and you're also suffering, cannot do that kind of together action practicing. That means your center's not strong enough. So you must more strongly practice. So we, in Buddhism and then in each different school, there's these forms. And the forms have a certain practical value, and they can have a beautiful spiritual value too. But they just help us, if we follow the forms, we can see my idea, my opinion, my condition. Like the formal meal, it's a little complicated at first, but once you know it, it's so simple. It's the same. It's a mindfulness practice. Pay attention. Pay attention. And you can see sometimes I didn't pay attention. I poured the water in the wrong bowl or, whatever. And it's not bad or good, but it reflects. It's a practice. And you can see, am I paying attention moment to moment? It's great. I used to do this thing where I'd always overeat and then I wouldn't eat for a while. And then one year, Seung Sahn Sunim made me Ipsung, head monk. And I knew I have to be steady, because if I'd overeat for a few days running, then I'd had a hard time coming to practice. And if I didn't eat much, I could discipline myself, but I'd get angry easily. So before the retreat, I took the second bowl. I can't remember if it was 1 or a cup and a half, but I poured water into it, and then I took a nail and I made a line, and I decided I'm just going to fill that bowl the same height 3 times a day for 90 days and eat the same amount every meal. And, I received the rice in this bowl and the soup in that bowl and the veggies in that. But before they come around we used to come around a second time, I don't know now. I just poured everything into that bowl up to that height. And after that, I didn't really have I didn't overeat. I just found out I don't need to eat much. I function better if I don't eat much. That was 35 years ago. But it helped me break that, cycle. Yeah, so our forms and our things, they help us pay attention. They help us see our body habits, our mind habits. And then, if they're not fitting well or smooth, we work on them. So, we also don't want to be too attached to, don't like, don't dislike. Yeah, if you get it, you're happy. If you don't get it, that's okay too. But we have to train ourselves to be able to be like that.